All right, what's good, y'all? We're back. So this is our first episode of 5 Questions for Season 2. And this is where we tap in with athletes and minds from the mixed martial arts space. And today we're thrilled to have an intriguing Canadian prospect, Tom Theocharis, with us today. So first off, what's going on with you? I see you in the car and you're bundled up. So how are you doing? What's going on?
I'm good. I appreciate you having me on the show. It's cold out right now. It's -9. It's snowing. I am all bundled up. I'm just sitting outside the gym. I'm about to do my first training session of the day, and it's fight week, so I'm excited.
Cool. So for those who aren't aware, Tom has been making waves in the MMA space. He's got an impressive 86% finish rate. I don't know. Did you know that you had 86% finish rate?
I did. Yes.
So you're a mortgage guy, so you do the numbers, so you know how this works. So he's fighting Robert Dunn on the Unified 55 card in Toronto on January 19th, the day before the UFC 297 card. And Dana White just happens to be scouting talent for the UFC. So let me start right there. When did you find out about Dana being there, and what were your first thoughts when you heard?
So I actually found out they were going to do this show, and there was kind of rumors circulating as early as September. So I've been sort of prepared for this moment for quite a while. And then we weren't really sure if it was 100% going to be Dana White's looking for a fight. You know, like we didn't know if the details were set in stone. It was kind of, hearsay type of thing. And then basically last week was when they threw up the graphic and shit got real. So yeah. That's I've known for quite some time, but I'm pretty fired up right now.
So you've watched the previous ones and saw like the success of other people that have been featured on the show, or kind of what's your okay. Cool.
It's good.
So how did that change kind of your mentality and your strategy with this opportunity kind of popping up for you?
To be honest with you, it didn't really change anything, just because I'm training hard going into a fight anyway. And my fighting style is extremely exciting. I would say I'm one of the most exciting fighters Canada has ever produced, to be honest with you. If you watch my fights, I go in for the kill, like right from the beginning. You were talking about my finish rate, and I think, so I've got 7 first round knockouts, and then 6 of them have been in under a minute. So I'm super excited to watch. I'm exactly what the UFC wants. And like nothing has really changed, to be honest with you, other than the fact that Dana White's going to be there, and it's a bit extra motivation. So
I can definitely understand that. So one of the things that I've seen in doing some research for this interview was that you mentioned the importance of not being tied down to one promotion and maintaining flexibility in your career. So how does that approach benefit your journey as a fighter, and how do you balance the need for consistent fights with choosing the right opportunities?
It's a great question. With Unified actually making big waves, they've been incredible to work with. I could definitely see myself fighting for them continuously until I sign with a major organization. But as far as signing a multi-fight deal, you just never know what sort of opportunities will arise. And I do, like to keep my options open and make sure that I'm available for any sort of opportunity that comes my way. With that being said, Unified has definitely offered us a long-term contract, or like a multi-fight deal. But we haven't signed that or anything like that, but we're kind of like in conjunction, like, hey, like if you've got an event in Ontario, I'm most likely going to be on it. I do sell a lot of tickets for them, and I am a major draw. So, I could definitely see myself fighting for them continuously. But like I said, I don't want to sign any kind of multi-fight deal type of thing, just because you never know what sort of opportunities do sort of just come up. So
true. That makes sense. I think for me, again, in doing the research and seeing like the fights that you've been scheduled for, and obviously you're getting people out of there pretty quick. And one of the benefits that I've seen from other people who continued in the same organization is they've been in multiple 5-round fights. And I think that you've been scheduled for one before and it didn't go 5 rounds. So do you think that that kind of benefits you going forward? As far as being able to fight in a 5-round fight, getting that experience, and taking that into the UFC?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the more cage time, it's always the better, right? So being experienced is definitely a major asset in mixed martial arts. I feel like right now I am very experienced. This will be my 20th MMA fight, if you count professional and amateur. And I'm really starting to reap the benefits of that, and about knowing my body and just structuring like my training camp properly, and doing kind of the smaller things, and not worrying too much about my weight, knowing that like where I'm at is where I'm supposed to be, type of thing. And so yeah, definitely the more experience the better. So
that makes sense. Definitely makes sense. So sidebar. And this is another thing that came up as I was doing my in-depth research, as I do. So we're in the age of social media. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So everyone sees everything, and maintaining, or and damn near as soon as it's done. So everybody sees everything. You do it, they see it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So how the hell did you hide the fact that you were fighting other grown-ass men in a cage from your parents?
Oh God. Yeah, it's I was just, I was just a young kid, man. I just had this dream of being a professional MMA fighter. And they just didn't want, for obvious reasons, for me to be doing that. They didn't want to see me getting hurt. So, I mean, like, I wasn't posting much before fights at that period of time. And like in that period of time, I don't even think I had my mom on Instagram. And so I was able to kind of sort
That's
of
the
hide
safe way to
things,
do
but
it.
they
Keep
would
your
find
mom off of there.
Yeah, they would find out right away. So it's like I'd fight and they'd find out like a day later or something like that. So I wasn't very too good at hiding it. So
yeah, I was wondering about that. I was when I heard that, I was like, how? No, I mean, as soon as somebody breaks up with another person and changes their relationship status, everybody's like, wait a minute. And then you start getting texts. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, if you're fighting other people, like, I don't know how you're doing it.
I was 20 years old at that time, man. I was a young kid. Yeah. And like we'd be going to like Detroit and be fighting these random places, and at that time it was like unsanctioned, right? And like you would just kind of show up and you put on these 4-ounce gloves, and like they were basically pro fights, because like you just had 4-ounce gloves, you had no shin pads on, and the only 2 rules were that separated pro and amateur in Michigan were you couldn't throw elbows, and there were 3-minute rounds as opposed to 5. So it's like you're in there and like you're fighting, like you got 4-ounce gloves on with no shin pads. And I think that's why I always like tell people like, yeah, like I've been in 20 MMA fights, because you got guys nowadays where they're wearing the shin pads, like headgear, you got like the puffy 8-ounce gloves on. Like that's not really an MMA experience, to be honest with you. Like my amateur they were like real MMA. Like I'm feeling like I'm getting into a fight because I've got no shin pads on. They're 4-ounce gloves and that sort of stuff. So
yeah. And you're a hockey guy. Like that was kind of one of your first aspirations. So like did that play a part in your like I guess I would say your thought of or even just the no fear of being able to kind of walk into this particular arena?
To be honest with you, hockey did play a massive role in my martial arts journey just because I just always loved growing up and playing sports. Like I was obsessed with playing sports and, the competitive atmosphere and always trying to get better. I wouldn't necessarily say that it helped with the fear and that sort of stuff, but it did help me overall with having that competitive edge and always wanting to excel and pursue something. So hockey's definitely played a massive role in my martial arts career.
Cool. So in light of the personal tragedies and the setbacks you've experienced, and I won't dig into them, individually because that's been talked about, but how has that influenced your perspective on fighting and life, and how do you challenge or channel those experiences into your preparation and your performance?
Oh, it's completely transformed me as a human being. I'm much more resilient. I'm much stronger. I didn't realize how strong of a person I was up until kind of dealing with these sort of issues. It's made me really want to pursue fighting, and it's given me a form. These tragedies have given me sort of like a form of therapy where I use martial arts as, my escape almost. And it allows me to stay super focused on that one goal of competing and getting better every single day. Ever since my girlfriend passed away, my record is 4-1, which is a huge turnaround from the beginning of my career. I did have one setback, unfortunately, but that's something that it was shitty. But I mean, like it was a horrible stoppage, and aside from that, there were some things that I wasn't doing correctly. So it kind of made me dive deeper into the analytics perspective on how to get better, what do I truly need to do. And so that loss really did help me. But yeah, as far as the tragedies go, it's made me really just kind of laser focused and made me even more determined to pursue my dreams and my goals, and gives me more of a reason to. So
yeah. So in that setback, was that the one against Devin? And did you get that? And you got that, you rematched him later on. I think it was another promotion, wasn't it? And you won.
It was like 2 months later. That's how I'm way better than that guy, and it was a bullshit stoppage and this and that. It's like, I'm not even gonna get into it, but it's unfortunate that like you go down to these smaller promotions and like they're just not trying to bash them, but like Unified is a very stellar promotion where it's very professionally run. You've got refs that are professionals. You got judges that are professionals. The show's professionally ran. But then when you go to one of those smaller shows, things aren't ran properly. So like that was definitely a learning experiences, so.
Yeah, and that makes sense on why you kind of are reluctant to sign and just randomly fight in random places, because you want things to be professionally done, and so that everybody has an even chance to win, and it's based on skill.
Exactly.
And so that totally makes sense. So
yeah.
One of the things that I've seen also is that you mentioned the transition from being a primary kickboxer to incorporating more grappling in your training. So how's that evolution in your fighting style prepared you for some of the diverse challenges that you're going to see as you move up and, hopefully soon, very, very soon, get into the UFC?
It's helped me incredibly. Like My first love was kickboxing, and I, to this day love kickboxing so much. It's something that, I'm definitely passionate about, which is why I kind of, favored that heavily while I'm training for fights and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the grappling portion I have significantly improved on, just because I know that that's something that needs to be worked on diligently. And I've done that significantly over the last 2 years. I've grappled much more. And especially in this training camp, and even after my last fight, I've been grappling like 3, 4, 5 times a week. Usually, like, there would be like weeks where I wouldn't even grapple at some point, so, you could even argue that I was just a kickboxer in a professional MMA setting. That's sort of where I was at one point. But now I'm a full-on mixed martial artist. I know that my opponent is a grappler, and it just does not faze me at all, because I know how good my grappling has gotten, and I know how good my wrestling has gotten. And I'm much more comfortable on my back, and I could take people down, and on the fence I'm really comfortable. So it's definitely evolutionized my game, and I'm ready for anything.
That's what I like to hear. That's definitely what I like to hear. As far as your future aspirations, I've heard in previous years that your goals were to have 3 wins, have 3 fights, 3 wins, at the beginning of a year. So what goals do you have for 2024?
Well, first and foremost is to win this fight. And I'm definitely, prepared and, ready to put on a show and give Dana White, make my name sort of etched in his brain type of thing, right? So that's just my main focus right now. I did get interviewed for the Ultimate Fighter. I think I'd be perfect for that show. So that would be very special to be on that show as well. So right now, my short-term goal is to win this fight, and then hopefully I get a shot on the Ultimate Fighter television series. That would be a dream come true of mine. So really, I'm not looking past this opponent, but that's just sort of my short-term sights that I have right now. So
yeah, got to take care of business first, and then on to the next. Yeah. All right, cool. So now we're going to get into some fun stuff. So what I like to do on our interviews is I play a game called This or That. So I throw out 2 things, and you pick which one it is, and I'm sure we'll have some conversation afterwards. So easy stuff, but these are very technical questions. So I hope you're ready.
Okay.
All right. So the first question: Sidney Crosby or Alex Ovechkin?
I like that. I mean, I love both guys. But you just got to go with the Canadian Sidney Crosby. Actually, you know what, though? Ovechkin is just a big guy. He's physical. He's just an amazing goal scorer. Like, this is a tough... Crosby because he's Canadian.
Okay. I can dig that. I would have gone Ovechkin, but I'm not a massive hockey guy, but I feel like going into that draft that he was kind of the underdog, and I like the underdog, so I like Ovechkin.
Yeah. Ovi's, you can't go wrong with that pick. So
yeah. So the next one kind of goes back to something that you just talked about, but Contender Series or the Ultimate Fighter?
Oh, that's so good. I would say the Ultimate Fighter, just because I started watching UFC through the Ultimate Fighter. And like, that's how I basically started. I was just like sitting at home one day, threw on Spike TV, and it was like this Ultimate Fighter TV show. I'm like, what is this? And just kind of started watching it, and I just became completely obsessed. It was like season 6. and then season 7 with Rampage, and then like from there I was just instantly hooked. Like I wouldn't even I was watching the Tough show more than I would watch the actual fights, like the pay-per-views. But then obviously I started watching the pay-per-views as well, and I'm just like, damn, I got to do this. This is what I want to be. I want to be a UFC fighter. So yeah, Contender Series, or sorry, Ultimate Fighter. But I wouldn't be mad at Contender Series either. So
yeah,
but let's just stick with Ultimate Fighter.
Okay, good answer. Good answer. Yeah, that would have been a tough one for me too, because you can kind of see, you've seen, the Jamal Hills, the Sean O'Malley's, elevate from the Contender Series lately, and you kind of want to ride that wave. But the Ultimate Fighter really exposes like who that person is and kind of gets a larger following behind that person. I mean, Raquel Pennington is fighting for a belt, right after you guys fight. So like that's a Contender Series. I mean, Ultimate Fighter alum. So yeah, that one's hard to do.
Yeah, it would just be more so like Contender Series, don't get me wrong, would be an amazing opportunity, and I'd absolutely love to fight on the Contender Series. But the Ultimate Fighter is it would just be a crazy full circle moment, just because that's how I began watching the UFC. So it would just be so cool to me that like, hey, like I'm on the Ultimate Fighter. This is how I began watching it. It'd just be something for me to kind of take in, and it would just be a real dream come true to kind of do that, just because, like I was just like this young high school kid with like very small, short kid, scrawny, and like no one ever thought I could be a fighter. Then I watched the show, and then I turned into a fucking animal. Like, so I turned myself into a fucking beast just by watching this show, because I like had a dream. I'm like, I want to be on the Ultimate Fighter. I want to be in the UFC. And that's kind of what transformed me as a human being. So
yeah, no, I like that. So here's another, this is a very technical one. Waffles or pancakes?
That's a good one, man. Oh my God.
I told you, I'm hitting you with the technical questions. This is a very technical.
It's so funny you say this, because I've got a post weigh-in meal plan, and I've got 8 waffles sitting there waiting for me after the weigh-ins. About 3-4 hours after the weigh-ins, I'm going to be eating 8 waffles with some honey, bunch of Canadian maple syrup, maybe throw on some Nutella there. Damn, I just can't wait for that. But yeah, I'm gonna go waffles on this one.
Waffles. Yeah, down here syrup is a different thing. So y'all got the maple syrup up here. Down here we got scissor. So it's
you guys have IHOP though. IHOP.
We do have
IHOP pancakes. Like you just can't beat those.
That's true, and they got the unlimited pancakes. I wish I had an IHOP endorsement, because I'd be there today. Okay, here's another one. Sean Strickland or Dricus du Plessis?
Sean Strickland, for sure. I've trained with Sean. The guy's just an absolute monster. And if you look sort of at their resumes, I think Sean has a much better resume. And like Dricus has been very vocal about him, being born and bred and training in South Africa, which is great, good for him. But Sean Strickland trains literally in one of the best gyms on the planet. Like he trains with absolute beasts every single day. And like that's tough to beat, man, when you got a guy like Sean Strickland who is an absolute monster on the feet, on the ground, and he trains with monsters every single day. It's like, yeah, because I've seen it. Like I've seen guys that train at these smaller gyms, and I've seen guys that train at these bigger gyms, and there's just a huge difference with who you train with on every single, day in, day out. So
yeah,
that's a huge reason why for me Strickland comes from such an amazing gym. So I'm going to go with Strickland on this one.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I was thinking going into this, and I have a piece that I'm working on as far as my main card picks, and I was leaning towards Sean Strickland, very much so because of what you're saying, his experience, who he trains with, the amount of sparring that he does, and just his ability to be calm in the face of chaos. And that's exactly what Dricus du Plessis brings, is that big puppy energy, that just chaotic energy at the beginning, and then things change. And we saw that when he fought Darren Till. So yeah, I'm glad you're echoing what I'm saying. So anyways, as you were saying, he was five fives on to the Jack Hermanson, which is bizarre. It's crazy that he even wants to do that. But
I know. I thought he was a psychopath when he was doing that. That just it's some pretty crazy stuff. So
have you trained with Chris Curtis as well?
Yeah, Chris Curtis is awesome, man. He's a great guy. He was one of those guys at the gym that he was like, he would really push me. You know, like he always seemed like he wanted to like see me succeed. Because like, and I would even get pissed off at him almost sometimes, because I'd be like, fucking, this guy's like on me, like he was on me, and like in a good way though. And he's a fucking phenomenal guy. He's a great guy. I was actually talking to him today. I'm sure I'll run into him this week. Chris Curtis is an absolute beast. He's like, the guy's just a brick wall. He's incredible. He's got an amazing work ethic. Trains really hard. Always a positive guy in the room. But yeah, Chris Curtis he's great, man.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He gets a lot. He was getting a lot of flack when he was on social media, but he was one of the first fighters that I interacted with on social media, and he couldn't be more cool. I haven't had the chance to interview him yet. Hopefully that happens. But I mean, just I like him. I like Sean. I like that entire team and what they bring. And I've seen some of their behind the scenes footage, and seen Sean kind of mentoring younger fighters. And that's the part of Sean that I feel like people don't see, is how he gives back to those people who are trying to be in that same space. And I wish that people saw that, more of that from him.
No, he's a phenomenal guy. I really like Sean. He's a very welcoming individual. He's a very good guy. He wants to see his teammates succeed. And man, these guys like Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland, they're just true. They couldn't be more true MMA fighters. Like, they live and breathe the sport, their lifestyle. Like, I would put Aaron Jeffrey in that similar division as well. Like, it doesn't matter if they have a fight or not, they're still training as much as, like, a training camp isn't even a training camp for them. They're just like, it's just a normal day, because that's what they do every single day. So it's something to definitely look up to. So
yeah. But here's a question that kind of came from what I heard from some of your walkout music, and it's hip hop or EDM.
So it's funny that you said that, because the EDM song that they got me walking out to, they actually put my opponent's walkout song as I was entering by accident. So I'm like about to go out. I'm like, what the hell? Like, why is my song not coming on? It's like this random song. But definitely hip hop for sure. Like 100%. Yeah. 50 Cent.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with 50 Cent. You can't ever.
No. That guy was my idol when I
grew
up. Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember who it is. Somebody comes out to Mini Men, and
that's
like,
too funny.
I'm like, that's what I would come out to if I was a fighter. Like, there's nothing better than that, because you're going to beat up somebody
No.
when you hear that. Or you're going to get beat up. I don't know which one. But you're going to beat up somebody. Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right,
people keep asking me, like, what's your walkout song going to be? It should be. People are like always asking, like, what's your walkout song and this and that. It should be this to get the crowd going. It's like, honestly, the crowd's going to be going nuts anyway when I walk out. And I want something that's true to me and that fires me up. And what's true to me is like old school 50 Cent songs that I used to listen to with my best friends growing up, my brother and stuff. So like, that's what I stay true to. So
cool. So this is a question that I really don't know the answer to. The other ones I kind of, except for the Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin one, I kind of knew which way you were going to go, but this one I really don't know. And it's welterweight or middleweight.
Oh, welterweight for sure. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I know that you had some early fights at middleweight, but like what's kind of made you go to welterweight?
So I actually started off at lightweight. So I was a lightweight from 2014 to 2018. And then what happened was one of my fights, my opponent backed out like 2 or 3 weeks before, and they could only find a 170er. And at that time I was like walking around at 195 anyway. So I fought at 170. I lost that fight, but I felt amazing, like physically. And so I basically said, yeah, like I'm done with doing 155, and then stuck to 170 for a few fights. And then the pandemic hit and I got up to like, and then also my girlfriend passed away. So like I was just like eating so much, like I was on antidepressants and my appetite would just skyrocket. So I got up to like 225 at one point. And then so that was like, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to fight at some point, and 185 seems, the most reachable at this point. So I'd fought at 185, I think 3 or 4 times. And then I decided I wanted to make the move back down to 170, and I feel amazing at 170. It's definitely the correct weight class for me. And I know I mentioned the Ultimate Fighter, and that's going to be at 185, but I cut so much weight for welterweight, there's no chance I'd be able to do the Ultimate Fighter at 170. So I think 185 for the Ultimate Fighter would be perfect. But with that being said, with welterweight or middleweight, I'm okay with, if there's an opportunity, I'm okay with either. Like if it was the correct opportunity, the correct matchup, but I would much prefer 170. So
yeah, it feels like, and of course this is just from me seeing it, it feels like when fighters fight at a weight that they don't have to cut as much weight for, sometimes they're a little bit more undisciplined in their training. It's what it feels like, at least from the outside looking in. But when a fighter has to cut a little bit more weight, they're more disciplined in their training leading up, and they put a little
100%.
bit more into the fight.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. Like when I'm fighting at 170, I can't afford to miss a workout. I can't afford to go over, and eat a burger or something. I'm much more disciplined. I'm much more in tune with my body. I'm much more in tune spiritually. I'm much more focused. So yeah, it's definitely a good observation.
Cool. I'm on the right path. So, 2 more. This one's a good one.
Yeah.
This one's going to be interesting. So would you rather be a psychic that nobody believes, or have superpowers that you can't use properly?
I'd rather be it's funny because it's like I was the biggest like super like I love Batman, Spider-Man, the Hulk, all these people with superhuman powers. Like growing up, I was just like obsessed with them. But if you can't use it properly, then I don't know. I'd have to go with the psychic part. So
yeah.
You could read people's minds.
You can still use that for yourself.
Exactly. I could see, is this opponent scared of me, or I'm talking to a girl, does she like me, or like, should I pursue this woman, or that sort of thing. So yeah.
That's a good answer. All right, and then this is the last one. Would you, and this applies to you and me, a lot of people don't know how to, when they see my name, they're like, Antoine, Taiwan. No, it's Antoine, okay? And I'm pretty sure that people have messed up and butchered Theocharis a million times. So would you rather have your name constantly mispronounced or constantly forgotten?
Constantly mispronounced, 100%. Yeah. I already deal with it every day. So anytime someone, like, let's just say I'm going to pick up something from the pharmacy. Oh, what's your last name? I don't even say it. I just go Theocharis. I just spell it out because no one knows I'll say it, and they'll be like, "What?" And I just anytime someone asks me for my last name, like at a front desk, whatever, and they need to like type it in somewhere or spell it out, or sorry, they need to type it in and I'll spell it out just every single time. I don't even say it. I just go Theocharis.
Yeah, I'm with you. Even me spelling it doesn't help. So like, I just have to say it and say, okay, look, this is what it looks like. Okay, now say it with me. So like, it's a problem. It's a problem. So the last question I was going to ask you, and this is outside of the this or that, is, I understand you're a mortgage agent. So how did you get into this industry, and how does that help as far as your fighting career?
I've taken a step back from the mortgage industry for a little bit. I'm actually a sales representative for Molson Coors, which is a beer company. So I love doing that. But the mortgage stuff is my family is in that industry. So I kind of wanted to get my license and do that sort of stuff. I really love doing it. But then I also got this other job with Molson Coors, and I was fighting on top of that. So like juggling the three, it just was not working. Like even on fight days, I was getting calls from realtors, and like, that industry just never sleeps. And so when I was getting calls from realtors on fight day, and like this happened multiple times, and you can't be an asshole because it's a part of the business.
Yeah.
That's kind of when I said, okay, I got to kind of sort of just, take a step back from here and do that. So
that makes sense. I was just curious about that one because I know that there's a lot of when people see fighters, they assume, okay, this is what you do, but it's hard to supplement your income when you're just fighting and you don't know. You got to pay coaches, you got to do all these things. So you have to.
Yeah, it's definitely an expensive. Yeah, it's great because my job with Molson, I've got an amazing boss, and it's a very sort of flexible position where I could get my things done and then get a workout in the middle of the day, and then get back to work and then work out again at night. I sort of just make my own schedule for this job, and that's something that I'm really thankful about and grateful for. And so I couldn't work like a typical 9-to-5 job and be an MMA fighter because my whole lifestyle is revolved around MMA. It just so happens that I work for this company, and I do basically all my work to kind of get it done and make sure that I get all the correct training in. So
cool. Yeah, I was curious about that, but that totally makes sense. Cool. So with that, we can wrap up. Again, I want to say thank you for being flexible and jumping on, and definitely good luck for the fight. I'm rooting for you, absolutely, and I will be watching for sure. And after this, I'm gonna write a piece for MMA Sucker for this, so you'll see that as well. But
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. See my toddler over here playing with the lights. But anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
No, I really appreciate you reaching out, and it was fun having a conversation with you. It was very nice to meet you. So you're a great dude. Anytime you want to, have a chat, just let me know. And thank you to my friends, family, training partners, sponsors. So yeah, and of course Unified as well for giving me this opportunity. This is an incredible opportunity. So
absolutely. So to the Making the Walk fam, this is another good one. We got some more stuff planned, but until next time.
Thank you, brother.